and feel a little pinch. Breathe deeply. Bring great little push. And here he is.
This film tells the story of a doctor with a personality that is thirsty for his ambition. Where the doctor wants to see how high the quality of his superior seeds is under the pretext of the patient's health needs. What's the full story? Here's the film. At the beginning of the story, it is shown that Lucy, a beautiful woman who is already married, never got pregnant until she decided to do a pregnancy program, and that night she was doing a test. But unfortunately the results did not match her wishes, even though her husband Adrian continued to have sex with Lucy almost every day, but the results, his night sweats, had not yielded satisfactory results until Adrian intended to meet an expert in the field of viscous liquids who was famous in their city. Long story short, the two of them arrived at John's practice. There they were warmly welcomed by one of John's officers, but John did not usually examine his patients with feelings. Which is a little different, even though she is used to this activity. Long story short, Lucy and her husband went home and Lucy did her usual activities. On that day, Lucy got a promotion from the boss where she worked. She was appointed as head of the marketing team, and Lucy had been waiting for this for a long time. Several days have passed when the seed planting for Segura's pregnancy program will be carried out. Adrian was also given a beautiful glass cup to hold his sweetened condensed milk as a medium that will be injected into Lucy's warm walls.
Until several weeks had passed, Lucy, who was at work, felt a slight fever in herself and she came home earlier than usual. Adrian took the initiative to go again to John's clinic, and there they got the good news that Lucy was finally able to get the double line that she dreamed that Lucy was so happy that she was still carried to work. She told the good news to her boss. Her boss congratulated her, and all her co-workers also congratulated Lucy on her success and teased Lucy a little with jokes because she felt that at John's clinic it had been proven that Adrian and Lucy had decided on John as their special obstetrician that day. They intended to do an ultrasound at John's clinic. When they did the ultrasound, they were even happier to get 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl. But unfortunately John said that there was an abnormality in his daughter, and if Lucy kept her daughter, therefore, the safety of her 2 sons was actually threatened. Hearing this, Lucy broke out in cold sweat and was worried about the prospect of triplets for the second time. John reminded Lucy to follow the advice he explained earlier so that she could give up 1 daughter for 2 sons. A boy, because only then can the growth of a baby boy be guaranteed to be healthy? Short story. This husband and wife celebrate the pregnancy they have been waiting for a long time. But despite their happiness, Lucy is still burdened by the condition of their daughter. Adrian also tries to provide a misguided understanding of the advice from John, and she also agreed with the advice given by John because taking care of twins was more than enough and very enjoyable, but unfortunately Lucy was starting to get pessimistic about whether she would be able to take care of twins while she still wanted to work. Listening to those words, Adrian still continued to calm Lucy, and he assured her that they will definitely be able to get through this difficult thing. Instead of being able to stop the arguments, on the contrary, Lucy is starting to increase her anger because she only wants to defend her daughter until they get home. The arguments continue as a good head of the family. Adrian tries to follow what Lucy wants by just kept one of their daughters, but Lucy had to comply if she had to often gather with mothers who had experience giving birth so they could share knowledge with each other. Shin then moved to Lucy, who was hanging out with the mothers that Adrian meant there. There was one of the mothers who had a pregnancy case exactly the same as what happened to Lucy. The mothers were also amazed because Lucy easily arranged a schedule with John because they said it took 1.5 years for John to handle it. The day when the 2 baby boys were to be adopted was about to take place. Lucy looked a little anxious and nervous about taking her 2 children. It wasn't long before Lucy started to become unconscious, but under the influence of the anesthesia, Lucy could still hear the faint conversation between John and Adrian inside. Lucy's dream saw the girl's face getting darker and darker after the appointment. Lucy woke up. Adrian, who was conscious, told his wife that everything would be fine on the way home. Lucy asked Adrian about what Adrian and John were talking about when he started to lose consciousness. But Adrian assured him that it was just Lucy's dream. When Lucy was standing in front of the mirror, she was shocked by the blood flowing out of her warm walls. This suddenly made her panic and they rushed to John's clinic. When they got there, they were explained that this was the case. This is a normal thing. Even though these words are a little comforting, Lucy's heart is still filled with worry. Now the position promoted by the boss is starting to show good progress. Everything is done in a relaxed manner by Lucy. Lucy is now seen at home at bedtime. Lucy hears something strange. Downstairs, she came down bravely, carrying a knife in her hand. Lucy was shocked to see red water dripping. Shocked by that, Lucy screamed, making Adrian immediately shocked and calmed his wife. If there was nothing, she said there was nothing to be afraid of the next day, Lucy. While she was with other pregnant women there, Lucy told a story to one of the women named the victim. She described the strange incident that Lucy had experienced to the mother, but the victim's response was casual, that it was just the baby's brain that was in the pregnant woman's brain. She heard the answer no. Lucy felt that the victim was not the right person to discuss because she felt that there was something strange that John and Adrian were hiding about their future daughter. The checkup schedule had now arrived. John checked the condition of Lucy's womb with just his 2 hands. This initially didn't bother Lucy. Suspicious in the slightest after the examination was finished, Lucy returned the magazine she had brought home and apologized for not having permission to bring the magazine. John, when he wanted to leave the examination room, Lucy saw one of John's officers coming out from behind the room and felt there was something strange about this nurse. Lucy showed her face. She was confused but treated very quickly, answered that everything was fine and walked casually. One day Lucy received surprising news from Sambos, who suddenly removed Lucy from the marketing team on the grounds of Lucy's pregnancy. Lucy felt confused and annoyed. Even though she was pregnant, her performance at work not the slightest decrease because of this pregnancy. Lucy, who was annoyed, just went and met her husband and brought lunch for Adrian. Instead of being greeted with a smile, Adrian was confused because he had just brought lunch for her and instead returned to bring another lunch with the same menu because he felt strange about her attitude. His wife, Adrian, took Lucy to meet John again. John, who was used to dealing with patients like Lucy, quickly prescribed medicine to make Lucy calm down a little and also told Lucy that the brain of pregnant women was very sensitive. So don't think too much in a situation like this. But unfortunately the mind, Lucy said that John didn't understand what was going on until Lucy decided to meet her friend Grace to tell her a little about the incident she had experienced. Now she thought telling her friend about this problem would reduce the burden on Lucy's mind, but instead Lucy had another nightmare where in her dream Lucy saw Adrian and John. In the middle of their struggle, they rubbed their swords against each other until finally Lucy woke up from her sleep without thinking. Lucy immediately went downstairs and checked her husband's safe, which according to Lucy was very suspicious. Lucy also got a piece of paper containing data on the process of her pregnancy program at John's clinic. From there, Lucy began to realize that all the activities he carried out were always monitored through the data he saw. Even when Lucy was meeting her friend, it was also included in Adrian's data. Not only that, Lucy's departure to one of the midwives was also discovered by her husband. The level of suspicion increased until he showed everything, which he got to the victim so that the victim wouldn't think that Lucy was just hallucinating, and he also felt that Adrian and John had done something to his future baby girl. The victim finally believed in his delusion and asked Lucy to meet a lawyer so that he could follow up and find a way so that everything would be revealed clearly the next morning. Lucy looked as bright as usual. She also said that she would stop working to Adrian. Not only that, Lucy also said that she would not go to John's clinic anymore, where Lucy preferred to consult with her friends because she felt that since they had known John, their domestic life had not been harmonious. But unfortunately, John's response was not what Lucy expected. Adrian seemed angry because they had chosen John as a place to consult regarding Lucy's pregnancy. Moreover, Adrian had known John well for years. Adrian also said that John would remain Lucy's pregnancy doctor. But unfortunately, Lucy didn't care Adrian's words because he was sure of the right choice. This time, long story short, Lucy was seen in the middle of her 7th month of pregnancy, and coincidentally the victim was also there. The victim gave a gift of a magazine that the late Mrs. Lucy often read. This book was entitled Russia. Suddenly Lucy was shocked because the victim knew her real name. However, Corgan quickly explained how he knew that Lucy's real name was none other than Adrian himself, and apparently the victim had spoken privately with Adrian about the iron situation, and Corgan was the first to start making promises with John so that he would deal with the difficult Lucy. Pregnant when she heard the lie, Lucy was furious and had not had time to vent her anger. Suddenly, Lucy's stomach hurt and Lucy rushed to her friend's clinic. There Lucy finally gave birth to a boy. Lucy, who was still weak, couldn't say anything when her child was successfully expelled, and suddenly Lucy started to get worse and worse. Lucy was forced to be rushed to the emergency room because Lucy's red syrup continued to flow profusely. If left unchecked, it would endanger Lucy herself, so Lucy had to be taken to the clinic. John arrived at John's clinic. Lucy gave birth to twin boys at the beginning when Lucy woke up from her deep sleep and saw 2 baby boys beside her, but it seemed that Lucy was not very satisfied with what she saw. Lucy decided to meet John at his clinic to hear John's explanation directly, but John's nurse blocked Lucy's arrival on the grounds that Lucy had not made an appointment with John first. Lucy tried to explain to the nurse what she had experienced so far. Before Lucy finished her explanation, the nurse took Lucy to a special room that had been prepared by John. Then this nurse explained that in fact Adrian and John had been working together on this for a long time. Suddenly John came in and said that in fact the sweetened condensed milk that was shot onto his warm wall was not Adrian's but John's own, because he felt that this world needed superior seeds, and where the superior seeds are in him, and John's biggest plan is to shoot his sweetened condensed milk into the warm walls of women all over the world. Hearing this, Lucy's anger increased because he realized that it was dangerous. John tried to give an animal injection so that Lucy could calm down. But unfortunately Lucy managed to escape John's injection, and instead Lucy managed to headbutt John's son. Suddenly, from behind, the nurse immediately attacked Lucy. Fortunately, Lucy managed to dodge and return, attacking the nurse because she wasn't satisfied. Lucy then headed towards John and gave a little big lump right at John until finally Lucy went home. Came home with her hands covered in red soy sauce. Since then, Lucy has been very different from usual, and again, she started having relapses. She always had hallucinations about being afraid of being a mother. The film ended.